Time now for the Educated Retirement Show with your host, Jay Kaplan. Jay discusses reverse mortgages and can answer your questions at 951-922-3532. Call lines are open at 951-922-3532. And now here's Jay.
Welcome to the Educated Retirement Radio here on KMET 1490 AM, where we're going to contemplate retirement and how to best prepare for retirement and how to best stay happily and successfully retired. And we have great guests in the second half, and we'll be getting to that as soon as possible. But remember, www.drheckham.com or the Educated Retirement .com, theeducatedretirement.com. You can always email me, bestloantoday@gmail.com. Why? Because it is the best loan today. Or you can try this phone number at any time from anywhere. And that phone number, again, is, coming straight to me, 866-955-2233, 866-955-2233, and I usually tell some more things about the website and all that, but I'm going to skip that because we got a lot of superfluous and nostalgic information and UFOs to go to, and NASA Nellie is on her way from Mars right now. My day job is at the Loan Source, NMLS 384565, Department of Real Estate, license 792630. And today is National Cookie Day because that's close to my heart. And there is should I be chewing one, or is that going to get, no, I want one, but I think that'll get in the way of me talking. Not that, but who knows. In any case, it's also National Bartender Day, and just thought I'd bring out my own bartender apron from Houlihan's when I used to work there, and from where I met my wife some 40-some years ago. Anyway, also December is the bird feeding season beginning here. So start feeding your little ones. And we believe in challenging the status quo. Families and people need to be active, not reactive. And famous people's birthdays. But remember, drheckham.com, and call me at 866-955-2233. And today's birthday is Jeff Bridges' birthday. That's right. Jeff Bridges is the son of actor Lloyd Bridges and appeared with his brother Bo in that series. So he has also done, that is Jeff, over 75 films, including The Big Lebowski, which we have right there, of course. And I think everybody has seen that. And that's a Coen Brothers classic, and Jeff is still known as the Dude. Then there was also Tron, and I think you remember Tron. Even Sean might be, he might remember the original one. This is not the original. I do have the original, and this is the reboot, Tron Legacy. And, of course, they were in both of them. And some weird things about the music. The first one, music was done by Wendy Carlos. And the second one, and I have Wendy Carlos records back when she was both genders, but he and she. But one of my favorite groups did the music from the second one. Daft Punk. That's not the soundtrack from it, but that's a great album. Anyway, there's a lot to say about Daft Punk and what they did with music in general, but we'll have to let them wait. The Last Picture Show was his first big hit in 1975 and his first Academy Award nomination. Oh, you know what? I started talking about the Last Picture Show a little too soon. Here is a monorail all dressed up for Tron Legacy. Okay? Sure, why not? Last Picture Show. Again, if I can, I show the Laserdisc one because the pictures are bigger. So there. And, you know, whatever happened to the director? What's his name? But, yeah. I know. He's still around and he's other things. But that's the Last Picture Show. He also did the first remake of King Kong, which was, by the way, the first film ever for Jessica Lange. And he did The Fisher King, which is a Terry Gilliam film, and he's one of my favorite directors. And if not one of my favorite Monty Python people, but you know, that had many nominations and wins of all different kinds of things. Then there was the very strange and love it, The Men Who Stare at Goats. Remember, no goats, no glory. Did you see that, Sean, if you're there?
Yeah, I did.
The Men Who Stare at Goats.
That was pretty interesting, yeah.
That really fascinates me, and if I had any extra time right now, I would be going. I think they you know, when class is on, they're still teaching classes at UCLA for remote viewing. And that was, of course, part of the story. Part of the story was true about the 1st Earth Battalion, who I think the No Goats, No Glory was added for the movie. But I'll tell you what actually comes from that was a saying is, be all you can be. And that is still used by the Army today in their recruitment advertising. Be all you can be. And that comes from 1st Earth Battalion. Here's what the I think you ought to be able to see that. The name escapes me right now. The colonel that was in charge of all of that. But anyway, let's get back to being all we can be, with or without goats. He was also in Against All Odds. Again, there's a... Nope, no picture in the back. Anyway, that was with Rachel Ward, Jeff Bridges, and James Woods. I always liked that film. Still do. And I still, every time I'm on Sunset Boulevard, I think of the scene of Jeff and Jimmy Woods racing down Sunset. And I remember when that movie was out, I had a sports car and tried doing some of those things, but they never really happened. Here's a couple other things. Jeff was in here. Seabiscuit. Blown Away. You know, I can't tell you what I say, 75 films. How about Bad Times at the El Rey? Sean, were you able to see that?
No, I didn't get to see that one.
That one just came out not very long ago, a couple of years ago. I thought it was really entertaining, and I'm not sure how much play it did get, but it really should get more play. And Jeff is a big fan of Lee Marvin and Robert Ryan. I am also a big fan of Robert Ryan. I really enjoy Lee Marvin, even though everything I've read about him tells me he was usually drunk when he was acting, but it came out well, didn't it? And Jeff is also a photographer, and he has published 2 photography books. And he is my hero for another reason. He smokes 2 cigars every day. That's good. And who do I always get him confused with? Kurt Russell. I get Jeff and Russell mixed up all the time. I don't know if that happens to other people, but to me, they look alike. And here's a reminder that you are listening to the Educated Retirement Radio here on your home planet, 1490 KMET Radio, the mighty Met. And don't forget www.drheckham.com. That's drhecm.com, or give me a call, 866-955-2233, 866-955-2233. It's also Jimmy Hunt's birthday, 1939. We got a couple guys whose birthdays we're celebrating today that are still with us. That's a good thing. He is best known for his role in one of my favorite all-time 1950s science fiction movies. I hope that's not too shiny. Invaders from Mars. I got so many copies of this. I'm waiting for the 4K, but I know, good luck, right? So here's who Jimmy really looks like, or what he looked like then, okay? You might recognize that. And that's with him in one of the mutants. They called them mutants just like they did in This Island Earth. But so be it. But with this film, this was really great because you could see the zippers up the costume, the back of the costumes. But he was also featured, Jimmy was, in over 23 other films. And Invaders was a 1953 sci-fi classic. And I mean, this was a classic. Directed by a guy named William Cameron Menzies, who I know, the name always rings a bell, and here's why to me. He also directed before this that H.G. Wells' classic Things to Come back in 1937, as well as others, including, he co-directed the Cecil B. DeMille Cleopatra, and he was also the art director for the Dolly dream sequence of Hitchcock's Spellbound. I wish we had that music, but I didn't think long in advance. Anyway, he also worked on such films as Rebecca, Foreign Correspondent, so he had a lot to do with Hitchcock and Hitchcock's success in those years. King's Row, which is one of my favorite all-time soundtracks. And all of this came from Mars. So Invaders also starred Morris Ankrum, who was also in, I don't have a picture of him? I thought I did. I know I did. Anyway, so be it. He was in Earth versus the Flying Saucers, Rocket Ship XM, The Giant Claw Boys. That got some funny special effects. Beginning of the End, Flight to Mars, From Earth to the Moon, Kronos, that we mentioned last week, Red Planet Mars, and Giant from the All Unknown, and the list goes on. We've got a couple of honorable mentions. Agnes Moorehead was born in 1900 and left us in 1974, and she has a history that's much too long, and we're going to wait for her real birthday, because I said this was, on the 6th. These next two are tomorrow, are on the 6th. So we talked about her with Fallout City and Dick Powell. And of course, there's Wally Cox, 1924 to 18. I think that's supposed to be 1973 that and he came up a few times in the past in relation to his best friend, Marlon Brando, who once said that if Wally was a female, he, Marlon that is, would marry him. He was also in the TV movie called Night Stalker. That was a sequel to The Night Strangler. And here's both of them. And until we looked up, until I started looking this stuff up, I always thought those were movies that came after the series. But they both led to the Kolchak series, The Night Stalker, which I love. And, I don't know why it only lasted one season. I think it should have gone on well more than that. But both movies were written by Richard Matheson, and we've spoken about him many, many times before in relation to The Twilight Zone and other films such as Somewhere in Time. Kolchak, of course, This is the series. What I showed you before were those movies. And this has like 3 discs and I think 4 or so thingies on each side. And boy, I am reminding you, you're listening to The Educated Retirement here on KMET AM Radio, the Mighty Matt. Call me, 866-955-2233. And do you really know what will happen to home prices after the COVID? Or let me remind you something. I often remind people that you can always make payments on a reverse mortgage. I do. But as my old buddy Martin Andelman once said, you can put the loan in forward and make any payment you want, and at any time, I may add. You can put it in neutral and make interest-only payments. Loan balance from ever moving and is most likely a lesser payment than you have right now. Or you can put it in reverse and make no payments at all unless you want to. And as another really good friend of mine once said, I think it was as long as Tuesday and Friday. Anyway, this is Omar, who owns another very, very successful reverse mortgage company. It is highly revered, NCAR, and what he said was the HECM is just an ordinary loan that you are already familiar with. This is what he tells clients, except it has a reverse option to it, and I think that's brilliant. You know what I mean? I do. So hats off to these guys on all of that. Now, I do have NASA Nellie here, who just landed. That's right. She uses the very latest in transportation, and she's going to talk to us about Kecksburg, and I'll show you a few pictures, the Kecksburg incident. Take it away, NASA.
Roswell, New Mexico had its crash. Phoenix had its lights, but on December 9th, 1965, in the woods of Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, a bizarre occurrence was about to take place that would make one of the most famous UFO happenings of all time, along with the usual military involvement and attempts to cover up the Kecksburg UFO incident. It was early evening when a bright blue, smoky fireball streaked across the sky and was seen by thousands in 6 states. It crashed, or as some say, it landed in the woods in Kecksburg, only 30 miles from Pittsburgh. That alone was not as outrageous as the immediate presence of the U.S. Army and state police, followed by engineers and scientists. The testimony of several local witnesses in Stan Gordon's film, UFO Crash Kecksburg, The Untold Story, spoke of descriptions of the event. The local radio station was flooded with calls, including the Pentagon. Larry Snyder said, armed military appeared and said the object was a meteor. Lillian Hayes said the military chose their home as a command post, using their telephone and forming small groups meeting in their backyard. Even members of NASA showed up. Mr. Billy Bush managed to see the object and said it was a burnt orange, copper-like color with surrounding vapor of blue flames and sparklers, and looked like it landed, not crashed. James Maneski, a volunteer fireman, said that he and his team saw the object and it had no seams, rivets, or windows, but had a bumper of hieroglyphics-type images engraved in the metal. Jerry Bitters said he saw the craft in an Army's flatbed truck and said it was the size of a Volkswagen and bell-shaped. The list goes on and on. Was it a ship from outer space or a military experiment gone wrong? Was it a NASA craft returning to Earth from the past like a time machine, or was it a Russian satellite? Not surprising that all the original military records regarding this investigation were mysteriously lost and so far never recovered, but not altogether forgotten.
And just before we sign off for our break here, there is a huge story about what is called the Nazi bell, which was supposed to be a time and space traveling device with, I think, red mercury spinning in opposite directions. But I think that takes a whole nother part of a show, and a special one at that. So please do not go away. We're going to be right back with a couple of great guests that have to do with and are involved with caregiving. So please hang loose, stay here. See you in a minute. You always do put that favorite tune of mine that we use on the show on this segment, and it keeps me from wanting to break in. But so be it. Welcome to the Educated Retirement Radio. And we've got a couple of great guests here from 1Heart. And as you know from past experience, these are premier people from a premier company that takes care of, well, I was going to say old people like me, but take care of everybody that needs it. You don't always have to be old to need it. So remember, if you have a question regarding healthcare or anything pertaining, ask these people themselves at 951-922-3532. Try to act like. We've got a couple of people with us. Raymond de Guzman, Managing Director, 1Heart Caregiver Services, and of all places, Santa Barbara. And Santa Barbara has a real tie into the Kecksburg thing we talked about earlier, but we're not going to get into that now. So Raymond has a wealth of knowledge in sales and marketing due to his experience in the Philippines, and is an owner of a family enterprise, having known about the potential growth. And this is something we all need to think about. It's not potential, it's a huge growth in senior care industry, because seniors are exploding. I mean, not like in that movie. What was the name of that movie? But he set his sights on home care when migrating to this country in 2015. Now, that wasn't very long ago, was it? So Raymond started working in home care related industries for more than a year to learn the ropes before getting in the business himself. And he's gained so much in the form of resources and industry knowledge that he decided to open his own location. He's in Santa Barbara. And he can't wait to see it grow into one of the biggest 1Heart home care agencies in the region, correct?
Yes,
And
that's correct.
we also have Gino Villamore. And tell me if I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Yeah, you are.
And say it again.
You are pronouncing it right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. How do you like that? Anyway, for the last 13 years, or the mid 2000s, been client satisfaction and service delivery excellence in the field, and his career has, just skyrocketed from there. And talent acquisition for Philippine offshore client support industry is also part of his history and what he knows and what he's bringing to the future. And after starting out in frontline client support, which is the most important part of any industry, in various businesses, he shifted to healthcare or HR recruitment as a volume manpower recruiter. So this man has manpower and in an international way. So now he's putting his talent in what we think is the right place, and he was he picked up this line of work where he took on targeted selection interviewing, marketing, candidate sourcing, office people management, functioning for the U.S.-based companies, and that's been over 10 years. So he's living through a culture where family-like hospitality is innate, and that has a lot to do with the Filipino, which is like a whole nother show that, it's just, that's the people helping you. But in any case, Gino has made it his personal mission to share this, all of this abundance in the South Bay community of 1Heart, where he's now out drafting plans for his clients, listens and plays the blues. So we should have another time when you're playing blues Last week was Jimi Hendrix's birthday, and he was definitely, before he got a real commercial, which didn't last very long, unfortunately. He was like all blues, and I had bought a record. Anyway, so he lives at home with his 3 beautiful children and even more beautiful wife, but we're not going to argue about what's more beautiful in his life because we're just going to be working with Gino today. So I don't know, either one of you would like to kind of add to what I just said?
Yeah, it seems that you already explained in Santa Barbara. Yes, you're right. I'm the one who's handling Santa Barbara County. Mm-hmm.
I love the Santa Barbara area. I usually don't stop there a lot. You know where I stop nearby, and this isn't part of the show really, is Ventura, because it's so much smaller and quaint in a way. That downtown area is really cool.
Yeah.
And then when we go up to Morro Bay and up north, I always get off at State Street so I can go from one end of State Street to the other and then up over the canyon, which makes up for the time that I lost getting through there. So, you know, for people that aren't familiar, and if they've listened to the show or watched it before, they are familiar with 1Heart Caregiver Services. But for those people who may not be as familiar, go ahead and tell us something about 1Heart.
Yeah. So,
you know, and when I throw out a question like that, if I can think of one, either one of you can. You know, I know we were talking to you, but either of you can chime in, or both. Really, is just fine.
Yes, that's perfect. Yeah. So just for, so basically, 1Heart in a nutshell, we help people. Okay.
Yes, you
Like
do.
what you've mentioned, Jay, a while ago. It's not only elderly people, every people who needs assistance. Just in case if they need help, if they got into an accident and they are having a hard time walking, so we can also assist them on that. And I believe Gino can further explain on that as well.
Yeah, and we'll go to Gino in a second, but there is another category I can think of, and that is other members of family that do a lot of help for their parents, grandparents, or other family members. They just need time off once in a while, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But go ahead, Gino, from where you were going to go when Raymond handed it over to you.
Yeah. So just imagine, Jay. You know, if you yourself like needed somebody to help you out with anything at home, you're alone, and you know, you're not as strong as you used to be, or maybe any loved one that you have who.
Well, I started off very weak, and I've tapered off since.
All right. So just imagine that, and you know, you would need somebody there with you to care for you like your own family. So that's the kind of service that we provide. You know, Raymond and I, we're in the business of making sure that we're able to get that manpower ready, send them to your home or wherever you are, whether it's your own, you know, your residence, or you know, a facility that you currently live in, a care facility where you live in. And you know, no matter the number of hours you would need that person, we'll send that person for you, and make sure that they are aware of your needs, and you know, in case you know, any of them would have emergencies, we'll make sure that we get that person replaced. So you know, it's a full service, non-medical, you know, caregiving solution, you know, for everyone.
You know, and what separates you, in my mind anyway, and I don't know every healthcare company out there, but what makes you different really than other companies is you said it, your family.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a third party that's coming over to maybe prepare lunch for you or make sure you got a bath or something like that. It's like family. And you get to know these people, and these people really want and get to know you. You would agree with that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then Jay, just to add up to what Gino mentioned a while ago, you know, you have to understand that this is a service that you have to be passionate about. You have to have compassion.
Of course. There's a lot
Okay?
of ways to make money, even in this economy.
Exactly.
But if
Yeah.
you know what, the people that do make the most amount of money are doing the best job because I'd say, you say passionate, I say you guys are fanatics in a great way.
Yeah, because you have to understand, you're not selling a water bottle or a coffee. You're selling, it's a person-to-person relationship. And you have to make sure that, if you're helping someone, you have to do it very passionately.
That's correct.
Absolutely, because the people you're helping never question it. They know they're in safe hands when you're there. And we're in some pretty special times right now, and I'm still using the word special, even though it seems to be a bit negative in a way. I never ever thought I would live through this kind of a year. And I got pretty sick myself, which is not what this show is about. And I've got some surgeries in a couple of weeks, less than 2 weeks. But I guess I picked a good year to have to stay in and go to the hospital because nothing else is going on. So, but what is going on is the virus itself. So, what is different or special about how you guys are coping with this? And, to add to it, you can always throw out as much advice as you can to our listeners and watchers about not only what you're doing in the Santa Barbara and South Bay areas, but what everybody should be doing, how you're coping with this, and how everybody else should be coping with it.
Right.
Either one of you, both of you, go right ahead.
Raymond, you want to start off with that? Raymond?
Yeah, sure. So 2 things, okay, regarding this special, this pandemic right now. One good thing about 1Heart is that we have a 1Heart Caregiver University. That university, that training, it equips our caregiver how to handle cases like COVID cases right now. So it helps a lot, giving a peace of mind to the residents, to the family, to the patients that the caregiver of 1Heart, they're well trained. Okay. Yes, it's good. You need to be passionate and everything, but at the end of the day, you have to understand in the end, and in another spectrum, your caregivers need to be well trained. They need to know what they're doing. Okay, so that's what gives 1Heart an edge. That's what we're doing right now. And then at the same time, in Santa Barbara and also in South Bay area, we continuously engage. We are essential. I know it's like, going to a war. Right now, 1Heart, our company, people needs us the most right now. They need help.
Yeah, more than
so
normal.
We are a frontliner. We're sending caregivers. What makes us different? One of the things that we don't choose cases. If someone needs help, 1Heart is always there. Yes, I think Gino.
And they appreciate that, I'm sure. But go ahead. Add what you can, Gino.
And to add, Jay, when it began, to be honest with you, I personally didn't know how to act, like, I guess for lack of a better term.
Like who did, right?
Yeah, who did, right? Like everyone just learned as they went through. But one thing I remember really well when all this began, like end of March, I would say. Just a couple of days, or not more than a couple of days before that first announcement of a stay-at-home order came in, our head office, the 1Heart head office, was very quick to be able to, put things together. They put together all locations, and we had a real intimate discussion about what's going on and how we should cope with this, because we understand that we're a service that can't stop. We have to be there all the time. So we were quick to come up with protocols on how to snake around this and still be able to provide care. So once testing was available, we were able to we were very quick with being able to communicate with everyone involved, like especially our caregivers, that they need to get tested, and emphasize the importance of that. So several months forward, I believe that we were able to set up a real good protocol, like a system of how we do things now, because it's changed a little bit, you know. So we wouldn't have been able to do that without the support of our, you know, like our mothership, and yeah, and now, you know, we're doing things like I think we're doing things better than we have been doing it before.
Well,
Yeah,
you're
so-
all professionals in that company, and those newbies that come into it have to go through that university and become professionals. And the important thing is that you communicate and teach each other all the time. And before we get more into that, because the time is going by, like I said, let's have you guys tell us how we can get a hold of you, your offices personally, and everyone else, because a lot of our listeners are not in those areas. But I'm sure if they called your office, you could send them to whoever, and you know, set them up with who they need to talk to. So go ahead and let's take some time and give out all of your contact information.
So, hi everyone. So, if you have any questions at all, if you need any assistance, feel free to call me. They can reach me through my direct cell number. It's 805-701-0556. At the same time, we also have a website. It's 1Heart Santa Barbara cares.com. So they can look at us in the social media. We're in Facebook. I have a LinkedIn account as well, Twitter. So every social media website, we're there.
And if they're outside of the area, they can still call you, or they can perhaps look up 1Heart in general.
Yeah.
Yes.
For South Bay, yeah, for South Bay, so South Bay is pretty much like if you know where Manhattan Beach is, from there.
I do. It's been a while since I've been there, but wow, great area, of course.
Yeah.
So is Santa Barbara. So I mean,
That's
we're
right.
all so lucky to be living between the mountains and the ocean. But go ahead.
Yeah. So all the beach cities in the South Bay of LA, like Manhattan, Hermosa, and Redondo, and the entire Palos Verdes Peninsula down to San Pedro, and everywhere in between. Torrance, you know, that's the area that I cover. So if the care would be provided in that area, you call 310-773-7207. That's the number for South Bay. You could pretty much reach me through any like communication medium you can imagine these days. You know, so phone, text, email. Yeah, g.villiamore@oneheartcares.com. You can send me an email. You know, if it's an inquiry, I wouldn't mind like you know, answering whatever inquiry you have about care. And you know, wherever you are in Southern California, I guess, in Las Vegas and NorCal, we 1Heart has like locations everywhere. So you know, just go to the website, and you'd be able to see your area.
Right, and
Like
you know,
coverage in the
anybody
area.
that calls you, no matter what area they're in, they can get help for any area. And you know, call these people just for advice, right? You guys are ready to
Yes.
give out just advice, because advice is so important, especially in this era of COVID 2019. So, wow.
Yes.
And let's hope the vaccines work and we get them soon, and there aren't too many vaccine deniers. Well, let's just hope for the very, very best. Now, I know that what's driving your business and what's making your business so popular, you need to probably hold people down to make sure that only those who are really fanatics about healthcare become a part of this, because anything having to do with aging is just exploding right now. You know, we're not here to talk about reverse mortgages, but the reverse mortgage industry has exploded this year. For one thing, it used to be thought of incorrectly as something for people in trouble. Now people are understanding that they're for everybody, rich people alike, and it's best to be prepared. And it's best to be prepared if people who are looking at needs, thinking there's something coming quick, to call you guys and interview you guys right now. Put One Heart and these people on your list of your house, as we say from Ron Siegel, your household board of directors. You don't want to wait until you slip and fall, or grandma slips and falls, or something else. You want to know right now, way in advance, who you're going to call. Well, they ain't exactly Ghostbusters, but you know who you need to call well in advance. And the reason your type of business is exploding so much is because there are 20 million a day turning 65. It's not quite that number, but it's a huge number. 10,000 more. I think it's like up to 13,000 now. Mm-hmm. And of course, we talked about how other people need help, but one thing we really do talk about on this show quite a bit is how older people, and I'm one of them, see, this is old, can stay healthier and live longer. And one of those things is to stay active, stay engaged. Now, maybe not everybody has the wherewithal to go into business, but they're not going to know that unless they call you guys. So let's shift a little bit into the franchising opportunities you people do have. And, everybody always needs a hamburger, so McDonald's will always be out there. But when it comes to an exploding industry that has not been overloaded yet, you guys are in that, right? So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about, so we would like to ask our listeners and watchers what they're doing now, what kind of plans they might have for staying busy. I'm not saying everybody does or should, but I think they should because they're going to stay healthier that way. Would you guys agree?
Yes, I agree.
So let's get into a little bit of pushing for One Heart and perhaps starting a business. Or some people getting together to do that or telling their friends. And so go ahead, whoever is. I know we have Randy sometimes who specializes in exactly that, but I know you guys have already done it, so you got to be as knowledgeable as he. So go ahead and tell some of our people how they can get busy, make a boatload of money, which is kind of secondary, as long as you're enjoying what you're doing and staying active. So go ahead, you guys.
Yeah, so Jay, thank you so much for that. For me, like what you've mentioned a while ago, you need to stay active. And then at the same time, it's being happy, For me, it's important that you love what you're doing. Okay? Again, you're talking about the franchise opportunity. Study shows, this industry is $1 billion industry.
And growing.
You're talking about billions. Okay? Yeah. And you have to understand, if I want to invest or want to put up a business, I want to be in that curve that is a sunrise, industry, not a sunset industry. Okay? So you want, because again, that's your money, that's your blood, sweat, and tears, and you want to put your investment in the right way. And one of the things that I'm proud of One Heart is that because of the brand, you have to have a recognized brand, you have to have a reputable brand. It's very important because, again, this is a service. You help elderly people, the people that needs assistance. So it's very important that you have a brand, that have a strong, recognized brand. Okay. So going back to your question, again, you have to stay active. You have to be happy in what you're doing. Going to a business like One Heart Caregiver Services is a sure way. For me, it's an industry that will keep on growing in the next coming of years.
And I have a feeling neither one of you guys are going to retire when you hit 62, right?
If I'm still strong enough, I wouldn't.
No, I mean, I am, I'm in my mid-70s, and I'm still going as strong as, I still think I'm going strong. Yeah. I cannot imagine not working, okay? I just can't imagine that.
Yeah.
And, and especially in something like what you're talking about here, it's not like you have to, it's that you want to. You want to.
Yes. Yeah.
So, who would they call if anybody were interested? Would it be you guys?
For me, they can call Randolph or Randy. They can give Randy a call, or they can call me. My number is 805-701-0556.
Yeah,
They can-
we're concentrating on you guys today. So let everybody call you, and then you be happy to pass them on to, or give them, talk to them, because you guys have actually done it. Okay.
Yeah, a good
Exactly.
Jay, if I could add this, a good start off point would be going to the website, 1heartcares.com. I guess that should be a pretty easy website to remember.
Well,
One
that's
Heart
cares.
Yeah, exactly.
an S, so you
1heartcares.com. They should have an idea of what type of service we provide, what kind of company we are, and somewhere in the website, it's pretty easy to navigate, and they should be able to see, how a way to contact us about franchising. And I guess to add to what Raymond already said, that was a really beautiful starting point. What I want to add is that, I guess if you were at that time of your life, whatever age you are, and you're thinking of what can I do with my money if you want to invest, and you want to take on like a business where it's a service type of business. Trust and peace of mind are two things that are two things that are not
kidding.
easy to buy. You know what I mean? Like, we get calls like sometimes in the middle of the night, like early in the morning, and they would say, "Hey, I need a caregiver for my mom." And the first thing I would think of in my mind is, this person has to trust me and should have peace of mind when I tell them about my service. So the fact that 1Heart Caregiver Services has existed for at least 13 years and served like thousands of grateful families and individuals in that span of time, is something, that in itself is something that, we are proud of. And we're very
And you should be.
Yeah, we're very confident that their peace of mind, we get closer to their peace of mind and to their trust just with that thing alone. So, so if you will like franchise something, like a caregiving, a franchise business, this would be, I guess, your best bet, because it's been there, it's done the work. And all you have to do is just follow their process, and
It's kind of turnkey, but you do have to be ready.
yeah,
You have to be ready to go through the training. You have to have the compassion for it, which
Yeah.
you guys will help make sure people have.
that's right.
You have to go through the training, and then you have to do it. And you're
Yeah.
in good shape. You're in great shape. And
And I have to mention, like, Randy and Raymond, they're my biggest mentors. And you start something off, you have to have mentors like these guys. So
Yeah.
and you get that with 1Heart. So
And
yeah.
I've known these guys too, and you now, but I've known these other guys for a very long time.
Huh?
So I know everything that you're saying is absolutely. We are actually starting to get close to the end of the show. So I was going to ask you a little bit more about some advice for COVID, but I'll tell you, before we do that, let's go and give your contact information one more time, both of you guys.
So for me, again, you can reach me. It's my number is 805-701-0556. And you can also shoot me an email. My email address is Raymond. It's RAYMOND at 1heartcares.com.
And remember, you can always call me, Jay, if you need those numbers and didn't get them, because, I always have them. And anyway, so go ahead and continue with your information.
Sure. For the South Bay area, you call 310-773-7207. And I will personally pick up. My name's Gino. My email address is g.villamore with 2 L's at 1heartcares.com. Remember, if it's just a plain inquiry, you need like some advice on caregiving. We would come over any time of the day, and it's free and no obligations. We're not going to force the service on you if you don't need it.
But you are going to make sure they get the information they're looking for and some
Exactly.
advice. We have only 1 minute left, and I got a regular sign-off spiel. But do you have 1 or 2 points you give to everybody concerning COVID and what they need to do in a quick 30 seconds?
Wear a mask. You
Yeah.
know? Wear a mask and wash your hands frequently and social distance.
Well, that's easy for me. Nobody wants to get close to me, and I look much better with a mask. But yeah, you have to. And you know, there's some deniers out there. We don't care. Deny it or not. Wear a mask.
Exactly.
It's not going to hurt you.
Exactly.
And I must confess, as Groucho would say, that I was born at a very early age. And I really want to thank 1Heart and you guys personally for a great show and a great amount of information. And stay safe. You know how to do that, because we need you, and really hundreds or thousands of people now, because of your association with 1Heart, they all need you too. So stay safe, and thank you everybody so much for listening. Take care, and remember, Kaplan will be here on the same corner in front of the cigar store next week. Take care, and bye-bye.
Thanks for having us, Jay.
You've been listening to the Educated Retirement Show with Jay Kaplan.